Fire escape engineers inspector summary video. Here we are in Newport, Rhode Island, and what we have here is a fire escape here at the church. And this fire escape, we were requested to do an examination. For Rhode Island, the code is the NFPA. The authority having jurisdiction shall accept by load test or other evidence of strength. That means that this fire escape, if it had passed the initial evaluation, the pre-load test evaluation, we could proceed immediately to a load test. At this time, this fire escape has several structural issues that don't allow it to pass the inspection at this time. But once you complete the necessary repairs, then we can proceed to a load test. Or if we want to provide other evidence of strength, which to avoid the load test, we will discuss that at length in this evaluation. Number two, fire escape must be kept painted, must be structurally sound. This fire escape has not been kept painted, so it does need a paint job. But because it's older than 1978, most likely it does have lead issues. So whoever's going to touch this and scrape and paint this, make sure they have a renovator's license to properly collect the chips, properly dispose of the materials under the EPA guidelines, so it does have lead. So let's continue on with the examination as to what needs to be done here. First of all, let's start on this side. There's a ladder here. This ladder, I think, used to be open. There's a weld here. I think this used to be a way of getting down, but this might have since been. So you really don't need to fix this ladder. You can just remove it because it's not needed. But should you want to keep this ladder, a couple of issues, and that is it is punched through, as you can see. So the rungs are punched through. They're all welded. Original hardware square head bolts into the building, and so we need to change those out in order to avoid having to load test this ladder. Some of these welded brackets right there, you pop a hole through that, it avoids me having to x-ray or load test this weld. So that's the main thing. But otherwise, I would just remove this ladder because it's no longer needed. Okay. You've got a mix of cement pad. It's very rare that you see this, a cement pad onto a metal stair. But it does happen. So the cement pad from below and from above doesn't look too bad. I don't see any rebar spalling. I don't see any major issues. But I would cover this cement with a sealant of some sort or with a raised non-slip rubber pad. And that is just to stop water from getting into this cement and rotting the pad away, because it'll eventually get to the rebar and make it spall. Now, see this release arm here? This release arm is supposed to be for that piece right there. See how it rotates? If this thing was properly balanced, the thing is up in the air. When you release it and you push it forward, it releases the cantilever so it hits the ground and stays down. Okay? So that's not the case now. It's, this thing's not operational. The cantilever is not balanced. So one of the things you need to do, the cantilever, is balance it. Anything where steel meets cement, you need to seal it so that the joints don't, the water doesn't get in there through rust jacking and ice jacking, start doing some damage. So fire escape does need a paint job on all this railing up here. Going down, all the treads are welded treads, and all the treads have these spacers. Now these spacers, we have to reinforce them because they rot from the inside out. So they're going to need either, so we're going to swap out treads, which I don't recommend at this time, or reinforce this by putting a flat underneath, and then you put a clip here and a clip there. The McNichols company makes those so they can basically negate the need for these. Again, we're trying to avoid this first bar popping out and trip hazards. These are all welded connections that I need to verify, or if I put in a clip here and a clip here, I put a bolt here and a bolt this way, I negate the need to have to x-ray or load test these welds. Silicone shut all these connections so water doesn't get in here. Seal this over here so water doesn't get in there. Pretty simple standard stuff. Tubing. So as you can see, all the welded treads, they're welded underneath, but the rust is getting in there, see? And you got to seal them from above so water doesn't get back in there, because otherwise you're starting to see that the welded connections are starting to show their age, and the water got in here doing its job, and look, it's already ripping the welds. Got it? So that's all of them. See the rusty tears coming down? It's because water's getting in there. Now, in order to avoid having to load test or weld these aside from cleaning them out where necessary, I need a bolt in it. So as soon as you put a bolt in every single one of these treads, there's no need for a load test. Again, see the spacers starting to open up? There's rust inside these. You can't fix these. Can't remove these things out. Too much work. See all that rusty tears coming down? That's making every one of those welds suspect. So every single one of these treads, got to clean them, and then you got to rebolt it, no welding, because the law doesn't allow welding. See all the rusty tears? Rusty tears, rusty tears, rusty tears. This is an all welded fire escape. And as you can see, this fire escape does lift. Drops. It's very heavy. Normally only weighs 25 pounds on the nose. As you can see, attached, pivoted. So as you can see, quite a bit. This weight box is already popped when it's bolts. Right there, as you can see, a lot of this that gets added, that could be, you know, lead weight. I think that's an actual lead weights on the side. So, see all the rust. All this needs to be cleaned. EPA renovator rules apply. Some cases, sometimes though, you know, to not deal with this weight box, and it's right up against the building here, you may just want to make this staircase permanent, get rid of that weight. Put a cage here, you know, up to 10 feet, just cage it so that there's a door down here at the bottom. That may be discussed with the client. Otherwise, this is a balanced cantilever system. See the release arm open, not doing its job. See the cement pad, not too bad. But you got to seal that up so it doesn't get water into it and starts destroying that. This ladder, I think, can go. I don't think it's needed. It was here originally, probably. But these things are needed to be addressed also. This is part of the egress system, but again, you got to make sure that these things are not ready to fall and drop somebody down 8 feet here as well as over here on this system here. Same thing. But a lot of these grates, aside from having to verify that against the wall, that angle against the wall is in good order, because over here it's sitting on a lip of cement, these gratings have spacers in them also, and these spacers are rotting from the inside out. So a lot of times, as you can see in the spacer there, as they start rotting from the inside out, the only thing we can do is reinforce them, or replace the grating in its entirety, or reinforce it. I still think you can get some more life out of these grates, so it's no sense in replacing these when you reinforce it with a piece of flat underneath. These things will act properly. Treads, same thing. Okay, so that's what's going on this fire escape. It's a very small fire escape here. Anything related to the feet, we want to clean it, silicone shut it, then we want to tar the feet so that the snow and the salt doesn't eat those things up. But this is a pretty small fire escape. Not too many problems with it, but other than your standard issues. And again, the code here is the NFPA, Life Safety Code. And so the authority having jurisdiction shall accept by load test or other evidence of strength. So we can spot repair this and then proceed to a load test, or provide other evidence of strength and avoid the load test for the next 15 to 20 years. Any questions? Fire escape engineers, 866-649-0333.